Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Well, preparedness is exploding. I mean, you probably can see that as well as I can. You look at the number of people who are preparing today compared to 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, and it is just exploding. I tell people that most people would be surprised how many people are involved in some kind of preparedness, and I was surprised myself until my first book came out and people started coming out of the woodwork explaining to me all the you want to see how many people are involved in preparedness, write 6 books about it, and you're going to get people coming telling you everything. But I think it's great. Something I saw on the news last night kind of surprised me, to be honest, and I thought I was beyond being surprised, but I'm not. So I want to talk about that, and then I want to talk a little bit about what you need to be careful of, what you need to avoid, or what you need to get past. And we have a lot of new people joining both channels, both the YouTube and the Patreon channel, and so this will be helpful for the people just getting into it, and I'll be interested to see where you are. I'm going to leave the comments open on this, even on YouTube. Let me know what stage you're in and how you're thinking about this. And just have a second. Had a siren in the distance, and whenever he hears a siren, my dog gets to howling. Before we get to that, couple of things. I want to let you all know, how important water is. It just popped up on my computer today that My Patriot Supply, and I am not, I have no affiliation with My Patriot Supply. I don't know that I've ever bought anything from them, to be real honest. So, but if I can pass something along that might be helpful to you, I sure do it. Well, they have a sale on an emergency water bank, the water bladder that you put in your tub. And I think it's 65 gallons. And they have it on sale for $24.95, and that's a pretty good price. So, probably most of you are familiar with the concept of, if everything went down, fill the bathtub, right? Fill the bathtub because you want as much water as you can possibly have on hand. You should have a lot of water stored anyway, to be honest, and there's ways to do it. You can do it in 2-liter bottles, which are very portable, which you should probably have all of it. We do. You can do it in 55-gallon drums. Make sure that they're food grade, and you can do it in IBC totes. You can do it all sorts of ways in water bladders, but one of the ways, immediate ways, and before the water pressure drops, fill up your bathtub. Well, the water bladder that you put in the bathtub is far better than just filling up your bathtub. Because unless you just wash that bathtub out, bleach that bathtub out exactly right, well, you don't want to be drinking water out of a bathtub unless it's been, sterilized. And this is great. Unless you put the bladder in the bathtub, fill it directly, you get 65 gallons. I'll tell you what, I am going to buy one of these myself. I've never really relied on that. I've never relied on it at all because I have a lot of water storage. But this is just a good idea, man, and you can't have too much water. So, go to My Patriot Supply. It is mypatriotsupply.com, and you'll find it. Go to, water something or other. I don't know, but that's a pretty good deal. I've never used them, so I can't vouch for how good they are, but that's just a tip for you all. And by the way, I've about worn this, what is this, bearskin tactical hoodie, and I'm kind of making fun of that, to be honest, all this tactical stuff, but I've worn it long enough that I'm about ready to give a review on it, and my review is maybe not going to be what you expect, so we'll see when that's coming. I have a list of several things I'm going to be doing reviews on. What was the other thing I want? Oh yeah, this morning I put up a question. Every day we start on the Patreon channel, I start the day with a question or a statement or something, and it allows all the patrons throughout the day to answer it and talk among themselves about it. And the question that I put up today was, if everything collapsed right now, where would you go? I've already gotten some very, very interesting answers, and I'm going to be talking about that here in a little bit. Oh, I had somebody ask me. They said, "Do you drink coffee because on your videos because?" And then they mentioned another channel because they do. I'm 70 years old. I don't do things because other people do them, and I've been drinking coffee for 55 years. And I drink coffee all day long, and so I don't take a break. And if I want a sip of coffee, that's why I do it. So here we go. Funny question. So last night, I was watching Fox News. I don't know. I rarely watch news on the weekends. I relax on the weekends and it's time with family, and I don't care about keeping up on the latest idiocies because it's going to be the same thing, right? It's going to be the same idiocies done by or to different people or by and to the same ones very often. But I happened to turn it on. I had been filling in a bunch of orders here, addressing a bunch of them, signing in a bunch of books, and getting them ready. And Aiden had been boxing up and labeling a bunch of the mugs that we're sending out today. And I just kicked something on. It was a wonder what the news is here. It kind of just helps me relax. And there was a show on there with and I don't remember who all the people were. I think the one who I particularly like, it was 4 people, and they kind of took turns, bringing up the subject. One of them was Katie, is it Pavlich or something like that? She's very smart. I have liked her for a long time. And the subject of prepping came up. And interestingly enough, two of the 4 people admitted that they were preppers. Now, if you've been with me for a while, I don't like the term prepper. I prefer, but there is a difference. I say those who are really interested, who make it a lifestyle, I call a PMP a prepared-minded person. That's when it becomes a part of your life, a lifestyle, as opposed to a simple activity. Okay, we're going to get to that in a second. And so the 2 that came up, it was kind of funny, and I didn't know their names because I rarely watch the news anymore, to be honest. Now, I'm watching it more because I'm interested in see what's going on with the primaries. And so I had to wait for a long time until the Krylon told me, who these people were. Well, one was Charlie Hurt, and I've seen him. Many of you are probably familiar with him. And I've seen him on a lot of things, and I like him very much. He's a smart guy, a reasonable guy, and knows what he's talking about. Well, he was one, and apparently he is really, really into it from what I got from the other people. And a little bit about what he said himself. The other was Lisa Booth, and I never knew her name, although I know I've seen her on other people's shows, and I like her very much. The funny thing that she said was, oh yes, I was reading out of my Stonemont notebook. The funny thing, the interesting thing, I won't say it's funny, the interesting that she said was, she said, "Well, yeah, I have 3 months of food and I have a go bag." She said, "But I wouldn't know where to go." Okay, now self-deprecation there, and I don't know if she was just kind of being funny with that, but I have a feeling that she was probably, kidding on the square, like we used to say, which means making a joke but telling the truth. And she says, and I thought about that, and shortly thereafter, let me bring up here. Oh, yeah. In response, well, let me back up. It's good. It shows how many more people are taking this seriously. And they were talking about, all the billionaires that are putting together their fancy bunkers in every place, and how the idea of preparedness is really almost consuming the world, and that's great. It's about time, right? Because all preparedness is responsibility. And to be honest, people, not you and me, people have been living an irresponsible life for many years. And because of the different challenges that have come up over the last couple of decades, more and more people have realized that the world is, you can't depend on what's going to happen. The world can be unstable. It can throw you curves that, if you can't read the curve, you're going to be in trouble if you're not prepared for it. And so that is great, but so many have gotten into it, and to an extent that they really don't know what to do next. Okay, and I'm gonna address that in just a second. And so today, in response to this morning's question on Patreon, my question was, let me go up here. Good morning and happy Monday. Here's a question for you that I often ask people. If everything collapsed and you had to leave your primary location, where would you go and why? And got great questions. Radko said, now he wasn't really answering the question, but he gave an observation that I think is right on. He says, I think preppers fall into two basic categories. Those who spend a lot of time and energy prepping with nowhere to bug out to, and those who do have a place to go. Well, I think he's exactly right. And I kind of make that, preparedness is a very wide spectrum, as I've said before. And prepping, in my mind, is kind of where you start. And although we know that bugging out is a decision of last resort, okay, because if at all possible, you would want to stay where you are, because hopefully you are prepared where you are. That's where you have all your resources. That's where you have your food. That's where you have your water. That's where you have your defensive items, right? That's where you have everything. That's your home base. Your home base should be as prepared as possible and stocked so as to allow you to remain there and in good shape for an extended period of time. Now, depending on what that period of time is and depending on where you live, okay? If you live in the exurbs, like the one that I put up yesterday, about when I talked about the best place to live, in my opinion, and that's the exurbs, you're not going to really, be thinking about moving anywhere else, under almost any circumstance. Now, there can be circumstances to where you might have to, but you're in really good shape there. Way out in the country, you're probably not going to have to. The suburbs, yeah, you could. It depends on population density and the nature of the emergency, and then the city even more so. It has a lot to do with population density, and not just the density, but the type of population in which you live. When I talk about suburbs, hey, there's suburbs and there's suburbs. I live in a wonderful suburbs. There are plenty of suburbs, even right around Kansas City, you could not force me to live in. They're just not good. You may as well live in the center of the city, okay? And I'm sure that's the same with most, major metropolitan areas around there. But in most cases, you don't want to have to, well, in all cases, you don't want to have to leave your primary location. But what if you do? See, that's where the idea of the PACE planning comes in. If you're familiar with that, it's primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. And then I add another one on the end of it, and that's the AS, and that's the blank. When it all comes down, I mean, it's beyond emergency. It's and I won't say that word on here. It doesn't mean I haven't said it when I hit my thumb with a hammer. I'm not all that, but I don't like bad language on. And I had to remove a couple of people. Don't like to do it. Maybe this is just the time to say, hey guys, if you're leaving a comment, leave the profanity out. I'm going to take it off. I don't appreciate it. If you came into my house and started talking like that, I'd come over and quietly say, hey, let's tone it down out of respect for others. So, but anyway. I think that Amradco is exactly right. That there are a lot of people who have gotten into prepping, and kind of either through excitement or fear, and either are good. If it makes you do it, it's good, right? Things can happen, horrible things can happen. I'm not ready. I'd better get ready, right? That's the first two steps. But then a lot of people don't know where to go after that. They just don't know where to go after that because the average person doesn't live a lifestyle that really has accustomed them to thinking about everything falling apart. And even when they do think about it, it's difficult for them to really make it real to themselves, to the point that they would actually plan for it and spend time and money on that, right? And because the first parts are kind of fun. You know, okay, I got a bunch of food. I got my boom booms. I got this. I got that. I've I've bought my water bladder from My Patriot Supply. I've got my go bag. All this kind of stuff, and people like that because people like buying stuff, right? And then when you get into the things like developing skills, that gets a little more difficult. Although that's fun too. I mean, developing your skills should be rewarding. You know, and it doesn't have to be fun. Too often people go, well, it's not fun. Well, is it rewarding? Okay, and that's what it should be. It should be rewarding because you're on the path of taking greater responsibility for your own life and your own future and the lives and future of those who depend on you. So, but then when we get beyond that, that's when, and during those first phases, that's what I call the preppers. The preppers who say, okay, they recognize the problem, they kind of recognize it. Very often they don't see the depth of the problem or the ultimate possible manifestations of the problem, and they buy stuff and then they're kind of lost. You know, it's kind of like what was her name? Or I forget her name. Booth was her last name. Whatever her last for on Fox. Well, I have this stuff, but I wouldn't. I have a go bag, but I don't know where to go. Okay, and that's like what Amradco says. He says, well, they fall into two parts. Those who have a bunch of stuff don't know where to go, and those who have a place to go. So this should be your goal. And I have found the responses on today's Patreon question very, very interesting. And I probably didn't say this, but I probably should invite you. If you're not with us on Patreon, I invite you over there. You'd love it. It's a great community. The link is down below. I always post it down below. It costs you $1 a month, and you'll get a lot out of it. But it is important. You have to have that goal. You know, as I teach my kids or any of my students and any of the things that I've taught, I said there's two parts to a job, and that is starting, and then keep going until you finish the job. Doesn't matter whether you're mowing the lawn or building a house or preparing. Okay, those are the only two parts to it. Many people have difficulty with the first part, getting started, right? But if you've already got started, and if you haven't gotten started, hey, get started. It's important. The world is crazy. But then once they get started, if they don't know what the goal is or where the destination is, then they don't know where they're headed, right? It's like, well, I used to teach also in other things, and you may be familiar with this or not. Did you know that if you walk for any distance and you don't use, you know, you could use a compass if you want to, but if you're out in the desert and you don't have a compass, or you're out in the woods and you don't have a compass, you know, whatever it is, you need to find a point to walk to. And once you get to that point, you need to find another point to walk to. If it's in the daytime, you can use the landscape, unless you're in the Sahara and the landscape will keep changing all the time. At night, you can use the stars. If you know which one, you know, doesn't move, the North Star doesn't move, you need to keep your bearing on a particular place, because if you don't, you will walk in a circle. Do you know why you walk in a circle? Because you have a dominant side and a non-dominant side. And you will always push off a little bit more with your dominant foot than you will with your non-dominant foot. Okay, and it doesn't seem like it seems like you're staying on track, just if you don't have a guide on, okay, but it will make you walk in a circle. And that's kind of what can happen to people in preparedness. Without a point, a goal, you won't get to the goal. You'll kind of keep going in circles, and then many times keep redoing what you've already done. It's like the people that keep buying guns when they don't need more guns, instead of buying food or whatever. And so I think this should be your real goal. Know what the goal is. Make that goal something that you may not even consider is a possible necessity, and that is, I need to bug out. Where do I go? I don't call it bugging out. I call it moving to a secondary or alternative location. Okay, and what that means is, you're not scurrying to get out. You've already planned it. You've got your stuff packed. You've got everything, and it could be, hopefully it's more than just a go bag. Hopefully, if vehicles are running, it is a trailer full of all of your stuff. Okay, and you back up your truck or your SUV or whatever. You back that up to your trailer, and it is already loaded, and off you go. But it takes a lot to get to that point. But without having that point in mind, you're never going to get there. So what I want to caution you about, and what I want you to be careful about, is don't get wrapped up in the prepping and not knowing what to do with it. Like the young lady here, got to go back, don't know where I'd go. Okay, don't get wrapped up in that. Do that part. That's an important part. But just as, or even more importantly, is having a goal, and that has made and once you read that, now your plan is complete. Okay, now it's complete. You can still fill in a bunch of holes back there. You can still go, but once you've hit that point, now go back and say, okay, where am I light on this? Do I need more here? Do I need more there? Am I a little bit short? Whatever it might be. Whatever it might be. And we could go down a whole list of things that are necessary for true preparedness. So I think that's it. This would be a good time for me to get in here and let you know, if you want the complete plan for preparedness, might I suggest the Stonemont series. My series of 6 books, 6 novels written in serial form: The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. First one came out in 2017. And they've been going great guns around the world ever since. And I explain, I said, these are the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. You will learn so much in here, you won't believe it. All while you won't even realize you're learning it. You'll be wrapped up in a great story. I tell people I could make videos for 100 years and never begin to cover everything that I've already covered in here in detail. And many people who have read the series will agree with that. So these are available on Amazon. You can get them through Amazon. They get them to you very quickly. Or you can get them directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. And I don't get them to you as quickly because sometimes I run out and sometimes I have to wait for another shipment. That's what I'm doing today, is I'm signing a whole bunch of books from the shipment that just came in. And but I'll get them to you, and I get them to you signed. And you know what? I keep forgetting to say this. On Amazon, you can get them either on paperback or these are sliding out of my hands. I'm going to start holding them with 2 hands. You can get them in paperback or in Kindle or on Audible. You can get them on Audible. People had asked for Audible for years, and now they're on Audible. So if you like those, I suggest, if you haven't read them and you're serious about preparedness, this might be the next thing you want to do. You know what? I forgot to say one more thing on this, and I'll talk about it more on Patreon probably. We're going to be having a get-together of integrative preparedness viewers and Stonemonters. If you don't know what that is, people who have read the series. And one of our patrons, I believe. Yes, it was. One of our patrons over on the Patreon channel suggested, it says, hey, would you consider having a get-together sometime for all of us to get together and meet you and meet each other and all that sometime? And I thought that was very nice. You know, I don't know why anybody would want to drive halfway across the country to meet me, but I'd love to meet you. Okay. And I thought, you know what, that's a darn good idea. So we are in the planning phase of having a get together. It's going to be in the Midwest, probably the first part of June. Because I want to wait, because a lot of people say they want to bring their kids, so we'll wait until after school's out. And I don't know, looks like it could be pretty cool deal. I'm actually at first I go, oh man, but I'm starting to kind of look forward to it. So anyway, that's just wanted to let you know, and I'll be talking more in detail about that as time goes on. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll say this right now, I will be talking about specifics only on Patreon. Only on Patreon. And look, there might be somebody say, well, how come you got to do it on Patreon? Why won't you let the rest of us know about it? Well, I'd love to let the rest of you know about it, but I'm not going to put the information out for the whole world, you know, for any number of reasons, as you can well imagine. And, you know, if a person who is going to make the drive and come here, you know, for a day long thing, they're going to have to, you know, if they travel, they're going to have to spend gas, they're going to have to buy food, they're going to have to, you know, spend at least a couple of days away from home. So they're spending money. So come on, I mean, $1 a month is not a lot. So, you know, that's why I'm going to keep it. Just the information is going to be dispersed on Patreon. So if you want to do it, you ought to be with us on Patreon anyway. That's just another kick. So that being said, all of that, remember that preparedness is important. It's the ultimate responsibility. You know, it's exploding. Hopefully if you're on a preparedness channel, you understand. Hopefully you understand the importance of preparing. You know, I know a lot of people just watch these videos for entertainment and don't do anything about it. And say, oh, well, that was funny, that was cool. And then they go off and about their day and don't do a darn thing about it. Too bad. You know, I mean, that's their business, right? But have a goal, have a plan, and work that plan. Don't be the person that just buys a bunch of stuff and then doesn't know what to do with it, or doesn't know where to go, because that is part of the plan, okay? Well, thank you, guys. Matter of fact, thanks, Amradco, and for everybody else who has already answered that question on Patreon today. By the way, I didn't mention welcome to everybody who's new, who has joined recently. We've just had a whole lot of people join over on Patreon, and if you haven't, like I say, the link's down below. The links to the books are down below. Love to have you. So keep that in mind. What's your goal? What are you going to do? And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And what are you going to do today? And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.